Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 101 is Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Brawl was the Wii follow-up to the smash hit for the GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and the goal was to dial everything up a bit. The graphics, the roster, the items, the story, the stakes, all of it. Yeah, I said stakes. I feel like Brawl tried the hardest out of the entire franchise to be serious in tone, which is funny because it might actually be the least serious in gameplay. You know what is serious though? That Nobuo Uematsu opening music. It's phenomenal. I love it. We all know what we're here for, but I do want to talk about some of the unique things in Brawl first. This one has actually, I think, the best single-player experience of them all. My big complaint with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate single player is that it just felt like an endless grind with not that much different from fight to fight, and a glacial pace of any semblance of a plot outside that admittedly awesome opening sequence. With Brawl, you get some actual world building and proper antagonists throughout, doing a linear storyline of predetermined fights, but with some flexibility on which characters you choose along the way. I thought it was a lot of fun to go through these stages and see how the fighting you're doing actually ties in directly to an overall narrative, which most of these games haven't really done in any capacity. You still get a lot of variety to the fights and the opportunity to explore the game's large cast of characters, but importantly, this campaign remembered that this is a platform fighter. Much of the campaign is actually a platforming game with weak little enemies that you'll fight along the way and make your way through a maze of platforms and puzzles and, well, not really puzzles, but you have to dodge stuff with alternate pathways and hidden trophies or stickers, which admittedly don't matter in any way, shape, or form, but they are kind of fun to collect. Not only is the single player a varied and rewarding experience, it's also probably the easiest way to unlock the roster, as you'll unlock different characters as you reach certain parts of the story. Of course, if you don't want to do that, you can still unlock them through other means, either achieving specific milestones or just playing a very grindy amount of multiplayer games. I know, I said the magic word. But stay with me a little longer on this single player stuff. After you unlock the full roster, you can also play the All-Star mode that was introduced in Melee, which basically makes you fight a gauntlet as one character against every other character on the whole roster in a row, with some health management things you can do in between them. I didn't get to record any of that here because I was playing a fresh file and didn't take the time to unlock absolutely everyone for this recording. Also, returning is the classic single-player game mode with the mini-bosses and multi-enemy fights and target challenges and whatnot. It's there. It's fun. There's new characters to do and updates to existing ones. Mini-games, sandbags, baseball bats. Yeah, trophy collection, including a new minigame that's way better than just throwing coins in a dispenser. I know. Nobody cares. Okay, I can talk about multiplayer now. I had a pretty strange experience with Brawl's multiplayer. For starters, I'm going to mention that I loved all of the additions to the roster. Getting Sonic and Snake was super cool. Olimar was a lot of fun. I loved Warrior's Bike. Pokemon Trainer is one of the coolest ideas they've ever had, including all the way with everything new now. But oh man, was this game a love letter to Kirby fans. Getting Meta Knight and King Dedede. We bought this game at release without looking at any of the new roster ahead of time. So turning that game on for the first time after getting home and seeing Meta Knight as a default unlocked character was like a dream come true. And little did I know, that was going to be a problem. In most Smash games, I've played almost exclusively Kirby. But in Brawl, even I, who am absolutely awful at fighting games, could tell Meta Knight was really good. I just didn't know how good. He's so good, he eventually got banned in competitive events. Obviously, I was never that good, but you know, he was. With a teleport, fast attacks, a crazy up B attack, gliding, and loads of reach, it wasn't hard for Meta Knight to juggle people like crazy, and even I was able to do that with some consistency. In fact, I got bold enough to try my hand at some competitive play since this was the first Smash game to have online matchmaking. It went. I had fun with it, but this was the game that taught me just how bad I am at fighting games. Like, I knew I wasn't good, but oh wow. This was the first one I had ever played against people online. But this is probably still the best one for me to try to be competitive in, because despite the game taking itself pretty seriously in every other regard, it almost feels like it didn't want people to treat it competitively. First, there's the match warping Smash Ball, which was the big gimmick for this game, and I, for one, as a person probably not winning via skill and incremental advantages, am a big fan. Hit the floating ball a bunch of times to break it, and then get a special B attack that's unique to each character. Some of them are pretty wild, like Olimar, especially if you're on a small map. He gets on his rocket ship, soars up into space, leaving everyone else on the ground to take a ton of damage off screen, then comes crashing back down and it explodes. On something really tiny like Final Destination, it's kinda hard to dodge the rocket's re-entry unless you're edge guarding or something. So Smash Ball's really fun, not balanced. This is also one of the slower movement Smash games, and everyone across the board is a bit floatier with their jumps and can kind of just move and not get launched as bad, which is great for casual play, but harder to close out games when you're ahead unless you get some crazy thing, like, of course, a Smash Ball. Most importantly, and this is the thing that everyone rags on, so you know it's coming if you know, you can trip. Like, yeah, elite fighters all invited to Smash and showcase their excellence can just randomly, and I mean purely randomly, trip. Overall, I love Brawl's single player, the additions to the roster, and with the exception of tripping, the gentler mechanics actually worked as a great handicap for me trying to get into competitive play a little bit. That doesn't make them better than the last Smash game remaining on my list, but it does make it better than the other ones I've talked about. Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 100th favorite game, where I kick off what would have been a far more reasonable starting point with an absolute game changer for one of the characters on this game's roster.